Hi everyone, and welcome to the webinar. My name is Dr. Jo Wilkin. I'm a research scientist here at Tracking California. I actually joined the program for this specific data set and tool that we have developed. I've since gone on to do other projects as well, but it was a very exciting project to be involved in from the start. So as Catherine has mentioned, we had our Data Explorer. But in addition to this Data Explorer, we at Tracking work on a variety of GIS tools that we try to make open and available to the public to essentially either explore or query spatial data sets out there that you might have interest in. So today we're looking at the traffic tool, but additionally we've had other tools on water quality, water boundaries, that's now retired. We have a few other tools like the pesticide mapping tool out there, essentially other tools that aren't covered by the nationally consistent data and measures part of the Data Explorer. So our new traffic tool was launched in July 2024 alongside the new website and the Data Explorer that Catherine's just presented. The tool itself and the data set that goes behind that basically facilitates the tool was supported by a CDC data modernization grant over 2 years. And that's what been working on. And it basically builds on a previously available traffic tool that we had at Tracking. Some of you who may still have memories of this tool, it was active between 2008 and 2017. And it enabled the querying of a 2004 traffic data set that we created in-house. And it enabled a range of stakeholders and communities to basically understand local traffic burdens in the area. We had to retire the tool because the data set became pretty much defunct. 2004 was not too relevant to 2017 traffic patterns. And it has been a priority of us ever since to be able to redevelop the tool and the underlying data set, which we have done. I do want to flag that this is very much focused on the tool itself and how the tool works, but we do have, as Isabella highlighted, future series coming of webinars where there will be one example, which will be a bit more technical webinar on the actual data set creation, because I'm sure there's a few questions on that. So before I jump into the tool itself, why is traffic important to public health? Well, according to CARB, vehicular traffic contributes to over 35% of California's total climate changing emissions, and of course are a source of poor air quality. We're looking at pollutants such as nitrogen oxide, PM2.5 and PM10, and carbon monoxide. There's also interesting evidence, not fully researched evidence, about the noise pollution that traffic contributes to, which very much can impact mental and psychological health through poor sleep quality. And then additionally, I think we all know this, is that vehicles are dangerous. There are significant safety concerns. And over the last 5 years, pedestrians and cyclists actually accounted for 30% of traffic collision fatalities over the last 5 years. So where cars and other vehicles are really, really important to our own personal safety. So we are all probably aware, very much living across the state and also within states that are people visiting on this webinar from other states, traffic volumes and their sort of associated impacts are not uniform across communities in California, across other states, across the world. In California, for example, nearly 48% of all annual vehicle miles traveled is actually on interstates and principal arterial highways. And a very interesting statistic is that LA County alone accounts for 23% of state AVMT, or annual vehicle miles traveled, each year. So where these traffic volumes are and where they're highest and who experiences the heaviest burdens, it's really important to know, because it can inform both public health research and informing public health actions as well. So as part of that, and the fact that we had a tool previously working that we knew that communities and stakeholders were using, we were able to apply for this grant from the CDC to essentially develop a new in-house road network data set and the publicly available tool that I will be demonstrating today. So the current tool uses data from 2019. This data set was actually developed about a year or two ago, and we focused on 2019 to capture traffic levels that were pre-pandemic. Any data from 2020 and 2021, it's going to be slightly affected by the impact of most people working from home over those years. So 2019 was seen as a good year to use to create this in-house road network data set. We created a data set and then we built a tool to basically host the ability to do a couple of things to the data set. So the tool enables you to explore traffic patterns across the state. And as we go into the tool, you'll see that the Explorer, a big part of this, the data set is actually aggregated to what's known as the Uber's S3 hex spatial index. Rather than using census tract and county, which are very much administrative units, we focus on creating a spatial aggregation of our data, and it actually enables it to be easily compared to other data sets, such as Aquima's air quality data set that's very prominent for the Bay Area and beyond in California. There's another tab within the tool, and that allows you to query precise traffic statistics for specific locations. And this actually queries the back-end high-resolution road network data set that we created to provide those very localized statistics. And then the other functionality of the tool is to be able to download these statistics, download the maps, and create reports for 1 to 10 locations. Anything larger, we have an in-house program that sort of allows you to do large-scale querying. And with that, you just need to get in touch. So before I show you the tool, I just wanted to let you know that within traffic modeling and traffic metrics, there are two predominant metrics that are used. First of all, you have the annual average daily traffic, AADT, which is just the average number of cars that drive along a road segment daily. This is generally the data that is collected. For example, the data that we use directly from Caltrans, they count how many cars go across a specific road segment. You then need to basically transform that data into something known as vehicle miles traveled, which is the total distance driven on a road segment. And then it's, so the total distance driven on a road segment multiplied by the average number of cars that drive along that segment daily. So you basically get a volume of miles depending on how many cars hit that road segment. Our in-house road network dataset contains both of these values, and these are the metrics that you'll get out of the tool. And we primarily use the VMT to create our aggregated data sets, the hex-based data set that you'll see on the Explore tab on the tool. So when you query a location, you will get the sum of the daily vehicle miles traveled, the sum of the annual vehicles miles traveled, and then also some AADT statistics, including the minimum AADT value within the buffer, the average, and the maximum. And the primary thing I want to point out here is that with the vehicle miles traveled, this is the metric you want to use when you're comparing between locations, because it provides you an estimate of the amount of the traffic a location experiences. In comparison, when you're looking at AADT, it's kind of looking at the traffic characteristics a location experiences rather than the volume per se. And it's really useful for comparing within a location. Do you see roads that have high levels of traffic versus low levels of traffic in one very small area? Or is it very, very constant that this area has roads that constantly experience high levels of traffic? So a couple of different, our tool will provide you with a couple of different statistics, but it's just understanding how to use them and where to use them. With that, I just want to give you a quick demo of our tool. So if you log on into our tool, you are going to be welcome to our tool on a screen like this. Essentially, you can either go straight into our tool, or we do provide you with a quick tool tour to show you these different tabs that are available to you. As I said, there is the Explore tab, a query tab, and then we have extra tabs to create this sort of report that you might be looking to do if you're looking at more than one location. So as we enter the tool, essentially you get this really great visualization of what traffic looks like across the entire state of California. No surprises, all our urban areas really look strong with high levels of traffic. You can then start to zoom in. And as you start to zoom in, the hex sizes will change. We have 3 levels of hex sizes, so you can start to look at traffic patterns in more detail for areas that you might be interested in. Every single hex you can click on, and it will give you those aggregated statistics about what's happening in that hex area, that daily VMT, annual VMT, etc. And like I said, you can zoom in quite far, and you can see that the resolution is really quite fine, even though this is an aggregated data set. Within the tool, you can easily just ask to go and find a location. So we can go and find ourselves at PHI, where our headquarters are up in Oakland, and see what the situation is around there. It highlights the hex in which your location is located within, and it makes it easy to just click on that and find out what are these traffic volumes that I'm looking at for this area. If I want to know more, I want to know something more specific. If the hex isn't enough, I can then click on query this area and it will take me to the query tab and it will pop in a little place marker where it thinks it should be going. This one seems to be a little bit far out, so I can just try to look at that location again. It's always good to just check where the geocoding has gone. There we go. Now we're in a better location. And essentially, when you're on the query tab, you enter your location, the place marker pops up, and you can then select a different buffer size. You might have a reason why you want to look really tight in terms of like how much traffic is within an area, if it's only 100 meters, or our tool allows you to query up to 1,000 meters. Our general recommendation is 500 meters due to the sort of the public health impacts that you're looking at with traffic, with air pollution being very much concentrated within about that level. And all you need to do is then press calculate. And what you can quickly see is there's an underlying road network data set that this tool is querying. And what happens is that at the bottom pops up exactly all of the statistics within that buffer. So it tells you the location you've been looking at, the coordinates that you've been looking at, the size of the buffer, and then it gives you all of that information that you might be interested in. If you're only looking for one location, then that's great. You have two options straight away. You can export the map, which will produce a PDF with this screenshot and the table that you see below. You could also directly share the query with a colleague or someone else you know that might be interested in learning about traffic in their area. Otherwise, if you're trying to build up that report of 1 to 10 locations, all you need to do is click add to the table, and then this location is going to get added to the table. We have some slightly different offices for our program at Tracking California, so I can do the same search again for another location in Berkeley, get the calculation running, and then I get the same data set, but just for a different location. And once again, I can add this to the table and I could start building up my report that I might be interested in. Once you're done, you can click on View Table or click up here on the Table tab, and essentially it starts to populate where you're looking, your report for you. So you can see you've started to build up a table here. And if I zoom out a little bit, you can start to see that the different locations that we've queried are popping up on a map. And then you have the ability to generate a report or download a table. So the table itself will just be a CSV with all of this information. The report will contain the map that you can see in front of you with the screenshots of where your locations are, and then a table of the data sets. And that's kind of our traffic tool and how you use it in terms of interacting with it to get data out of it. We have an About the Data page and then also an additional user guide if you're interested, and you can also pop up that tool as well. So that's the tool itself. As I said, that allows you to build up a report for up to 1 to 10 locations. If you are interested in doing something larger scale, we do have an in-house R script that will enable you to calculate those same 5 statistics, but for many locations. And we can also build up some modeling in there to sort of add some common test statistics if you've got a data set you want to compare those metrics to. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to just run for 300 locations, so it's pretty fast. And yeah, if you're interested in it, then you just need to get in touch with us and we can figure out what we can do and if it's going to work. And yeah, feel free to ask any technical questions on the dataset and tool by email that might come up.